Thank you, Darlene, for those way too kind words. I think thank you for introducing my age by the definition of how long I've been at Wabun. But honestly, it's been my pleasure and a lifelong passion and pursuit for me to spend most of my career with the Wabun Tribal Council, working on behalf of the nations that we service, and hopefully, achieving some measure of success with respect to business and our relationships with the mines. First, I wanted to thank the organizers of the event, Rory and Glenn, for asking the Wabun Tribal Council to host this important discussion on business. So we're happy to be here and represent, and we're happy to be presenting our perspectives on business to the group in the room today. And thank you to the Timmins Mayor and the Council for hosting this wonderful event. You can't get a hotel room in the city. It's I think probably the most well-attended event that I see in the city as far as representing the mining industry. And what's good for the city of Timmins, of course, is good for Northeastern Ontario and good for the First Nations, the communities that I serve. So thank you to the city of Timmins. I also wanted to give a big shout out to our gang at Neewin, Ivan, Calvin, Daniel, the team that works so hard. I know it's not easy. I'm so proud to be the president of the company and watch those guys do the work from day to day. You know, as a business that is 100% owned by First Nations and self-performing every bit of it, we know it's not easy. It's been such a challenge for us, and without good mining partners, our friends at Newmont, to support us and help us grow and learn and execute our business. It's been a challenge, and it's, as you know, as business people, men and women, how hard it is to make ends meet sometimes, and it's good to see our company recognized with the award last night, so congratulations to our group at Neewin. I also wanted to give a quick shout out to Nicole Charbonneau, who is not with us today. Nicole was the mastermind behind, the invitation and our acceptance of putting this presentation, this day together. Nicole, unfortunately, is taken ill and is at home recovering and is not able to be with us today. So we wish Nicole well and hope the Creator protects her and sees her through her difficult times, and hopefully she can return to our team at Wabun and continue to offer her valued advice to the First Nations. And that said, I'd really like to thank Darlene and Charley, who a couple of weeks ago put up their hands to take over the event and come help steer the agenda and organize things and make sure that this went off smoothly. So thank you, Charley, and thank you, Darlene, for your hard work. And I know it's not easy, especially when you're called upon at the last minute. But I have to say that, having been around Wabun for so long, and you watch and you get to see the team members of our organization pull together at these times of need. When people are called upon, they answer the bell, and these two have certainly stepped up to help us today. So, without further ado, the Wabun Tribal Council. Who are we? Do I have the controls for the PowerPoint, or does somebody else have that? My other left, right? Oh, this guy here. Got it. So who are we? We're a nonprofit regional council established in '89, based in Timmins, Ontario. Back in the day when they established the Tribal Council policy at Indian Affairs, we were really set up just to do what I would call bureaucratic Indian business of the Canadian government. That's what our mandate was. That's how we got our money. That's how we still continue to get our core funding. We're supposed to do what government wants us to do when they want us to do it. But thankfully, we've expanded upon those roles since 1989, and we've gone far beyond the mandates that are laid out by the Department of Indian Affairs, and I think to the success of the council and the communities. We have 5 First Nations as members of our council: Brunswick House, Chapleau, Ojibwe, Flying Post, Matagami, Matachewan, and of course our affiliate who are pursuing their First Nation status, Beaver House. I work for, which is, plug your ears please, chiefs, which is really hard, 6 chiefs that tell me what to do on a daily basis. if you've got one chief at home, well, I got 6 chiefs at my office that I have to answer to and be responsible for. But I have to say that they're a really fun bunch and responsible group to work for. We have elections every 2 years in our communities, and it's always and often a revolving door of different directors coming in, but each chief that I see come through the door has good ideas and good plans and good meaning intentions for their nations. We do regional planning, public relations, political policy development. We have a very large health component at our office where we're providing health services to the communities, nurses, doctors, mental health specialists, and of course we all know about the current crisis around addictions and the drugs, and we're working on those problems and issues with our communities on a daily basis. And of course, the reason why we're here today is to talk about economic development and resource development. Darlene mentioned that it's not been that long since, and the Chief Jennifer had also mentioned, it wasn't that long ago that, as I heard as a young fella in my career, that the logging trucks and the mine trucks went back and forth past our communities, and I know we received absolutely no benefit from those activities, except for the places where my parents and grandparents used to hunt and fish were diminished. And so that we were impacted and not included in any of those economic opportunities. Thankfully, we've discovered a path forward on those things, partially because of case law and governments making good choices, and all those things sort of forcing a better conversation and better partnerships between the First Nations, the original peoples of this land, and the industries that want to exploit the natural resources of our area. So that's sort of like every other community in northeastern Ontario, we are reliant on the natural resources of our places. Just wanted to give you a snapshot of what we call our traditional lands. You can see the number of our communities on there. It is a vast territory, and it is shared with other communities outside of the 5 and 6 that you see on that map. We know that our friends from Abitibi, some of our friends from Chapleau Cree, Missinabbi, and others are also shared territorial holders in that space. But just as an idea about what the First Nations of the Wabun Tribal Council are saying about their territory is represented on this map. I think for this particular show, the message to the business people and the folks in this room about how deeply our communities are embedded with respect to the mining industry. Here's a list of the mines that we operate with respect to impact benefit agreements and those under negotiation. I'm not going to read the list, but I think it's easier for me to probably describe who's not on the list. The only mine that you'll see that's not on there is the Kid Creek mine. And I always, people ask, well, why not Kid Creek? I said, well, they always threaten to close. So every time I want to go see them, they tell me that they're going to close down next year and all the people are going to be unemployed. So I don't want to sort of get into a negotiation with a place that's on its way out the door. But the point is that, as business people, as people in the industry, if you're looking for partnerships, if you're looking to engage with nations, you're going to have to do it at all of these places because they have impact benefit agreements and rights. Specific rights and contracts with these particular mines. So don't be afraid or to approach somebody, find an avenue to have that discussion with the communities, because honestly, it's in your best interest, and I think in the best interest too of our nations to have those productive dialogues with you. I talked a little bit briefly about who we're working with, and so it's all of the mines in the Northeast and the Timmins region. And I mentioned briefly the impact benefit agreements, and you can call them resource development agreements. There's a number of names for them, but the original moniker is impact benefit agreements, and I think we all understand what that means. In each of those impact benefit agreements, there's a specific chapter that talks about, and that's why I think the focus of today is about business. It talks about specific avenues for First Nations advantage when they're accessing business for procurement of goods and services at these mines. And make no mistake, so, well, why should we advantage First Nations? And I spoke earlier about our history, because we have to catch up, because there's a rights-based approach. The communities are unapologetic about their advantages over business, perhaps in a way that people seem to think it's unfair. But I would challenge those folks to remind themselves of what's happened over the last 100 years with respect to our communities and our opportunities, and how things were imbalanced then, and how we have to sort of help the communities catch up. So in order to do that, we have a number of specific things that we carry in these impact benefit agreements that help us do that. The First Nations have set aside contracts for which they would promote themselves as a specific advantage or a specific entity that would do those works specifically. And it's not everything at the mine. There's 3 or 4 things that each community does, and they do them well. My home community, Matachewan, you'll hear from later, has a number of self-performing businesses that we think we're good at. We also carry partners with it, so it's not just us. We have our friends from North Bay, from Timmins, from Sudbury, all helping us along the way. We have open book contracts where we can negotiate. Before public tender, the communities can go in and sit with the procurement teams from these mines and sit and negotiate specific scopes of work so that the community can take advantage of those. We have price bid advantage. So if there's a public tender, and the communities and the partners are close to the low bid in a certain parameter, that they would be awarded that work. We have tender evaluations that include a scoring evaluation. So if you, as a private business, ignore the calls of the First Nation to talk to them and become a partner of them, you will be scored on that conversation, that dialogue, your interaction, and your commitments to the nations. And again, it's a significant part of the bid evaluation at public tender. So I encourage you to talk to the communities. Each of the communities has somebody to talk to. Each of the mines has a coordinator or somebody at the site that can guide you and walk you through and tell you who to talk to, and you can have good conversations with my friend Devin or my friend Chester. There are folks in the room that can help you through this process. It's not onerous. Trust me in saying that if you make the call, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised how quickly and how easily and how welcoming the communities are to new partnerships. And we also, of course, get early notice of contract. And those are just some of the examples of what's in an IBA business chapter. I talked about how reasonable and how easy it is to partner with First Nations. We have hundreds of partners. We have, and they make up all kinds of different business agreements, such as some pay a commission to the community, some are 5149, where the joint venture commits to, say, subcontracts to one of our performing businesses. Some of the partnerships are simply as suppliers to our business. I know Chester's going to talk today about our relationships with Lafarge and Pioneer Construction, and how we actually lend money to a big company like Pioneer to help build the facility that we own and they operate. So we have a number of different ways and avenues to structuring partnerships. And I think if you come forward with your ideas to our communities, if you meet with the folks, they can walk and talk and tell you about what's best for you, what you might see as a successful way to work with the nations, and see if we can include those in our portfolio. Each of the communities has a coordinator. Each of the mines has a coordinator. I spoke about that. You can find somebody to help you navigate these processes. And I think this is important. The work that we do at the Tribal Council, the work that the limited partnerships do, the work that NEWIN does, all of those profits, all of that benefit accrues back to the nations. And we leave it to our friend Chief Batise and Chief Constant and their councils to make the decisions about where the community investments go. So it's not going to me, unfortunately, it's not going into my bank account. I wish. It goes into the community's bank account, where the communities are making wise choices about community investments, whether it's housing, community infrastructure, new band offices, new health centers, new programming for kids' education, all of those things. And that's why I talk about these ideas about the Domino Center at Batagami, all of the administration offices at Flying Post, Beaver House's office, all these things are not possible without creating our own source revenue. If anybody's tried to pursue government grants before and try to build solely community infrastructure solely on government grants, you know how hard it is. And thankfully, we don't have to chase that dollar anymore. We have our own money to create our own priorities and our own take on our own initiatives on our own. And mostly, it's about the future generations. I feel like I just got started in this business, but as Darlene said, I've been around for a while, and I'm hoping to hand it off as the youth come up, and hopefully we've built something that can sustain itself, and the communities are better places. I can tell you that when I started, the nations were small. I could reach back in my memory, which is foggy at best, and understand how the communities were not the places they are today. That they were, I would say, less healthy, less complicated, less sophisticated infrastructure. We now have new water plants, schools. Our kids are getting education, all because of the things I think that the businesses that we own and run have accomplished. And I would dare say a lot because of the folks like you in this room that are dedicated and committed and understand that First Nations deserve, require, and need your help, and that we should be doing this business together in a meaningful way.